sent it to him, and it looks like he just joined. I'm moving him over now. Perfect. We're ready. Good morning, everyone. The regular meeting of the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees is now called to order at 9:35 a.m. You may join today's meeting in person at a limited capacity via Zoom webinar or watch the live stream from the College of the Desert YouTube channel. These links are accessible by visiting the College of the Desert homepage. Dr. Garcia, please proceed with the roll call.
Good morning. Student Trustee Olson.
Present.
Trustee Wilson. Here. Trustee Gonzalez.
Present.
Trustee Yant. Trustee Stefan.
Present.
Trustee Perez.
And I think Trustee Yan, I think I saw him online, but I don't know if he heard. Trustee Yan, you there? Armando, can you work with IT to make sure that Trustee Yant's mic and stuff is working? Thank you. But I think he's, I think I saw him in attendance. We're moving on to item number 2. Pursuant to Government Code Section 5954.2B2, the board may take action on items of the business not appearing on the posted agenda upon a determination by 2/3 vote. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I apologize. I got a little ahead of myself, everyone. Trustee Wilson, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. How could I forget? Thank you for that reminder, Trustee Wilson. Now moving on to item number 2, pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2B2, the board may take action on items of business not appearing on the posted agenda upon a determination by a 2/3 vote of the board, or if less than 2/3 of the members are present, a unanimous vote of the present, that there is a need to take immediate action and that the need for action came to the attention of the local agency subsequent to the agenda being posted as specified. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda for February 17th, 2022?
None.
Seeing none, the agenda stands as presented. Moving on to item 3.01, approval of regular meeting minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the regular meeting minutes of January 21st, 2022? If there are no corrections to the minutes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes, Trustee Yant.
a question, and just a question, by the way, I couldn't say present because I wasn't getting audio, but I've been here.
Yes, we went ahead and clarified that for the public, but thank you, Trustee Yant.
Okay, but the question about minutes is, I see that we're again posting the Zoom recording of our minutes. Are we not doing a written summary minutes?
Yes, we are, Trustee Yant. You have to click on where it states minutes. There's an icon where you're able to click on it and it directs you to the minutes. I apologize if Armando has not explained this to you previously, but I was under the assumption that he did. So we'll make sure that we call you to inform you how to access minutes.
So when I'm on the agenda and I click minutes, all that I get is the link to the Zoom recording.
There is written minutes attached.
Okay.
Should-
Look again, but
Should we,
can't find them.
we should we could send him the minutes if he would like to.
Okay, we'll go ahead and send you those minutes, Trustee Yant, and then we'll figure out what's going on with that. It might just be a glitch in the system or something, but if, Dr. Garcia and Armando and our staff is saying that the minutes are there, then, I think we're inclined to believe them.
Oh, no, no problem. It's just I can't find them, so it's probably me.
It's, can we do that again, please, so that the public is aware? So you click on the view minutes, when you click on it, it directs you.
That's, that's what comes up.
Okay, so it directs you to the written.
Okay, so it's that, okay. So it's that little,
View minutes, that's what directs you to the written.
okay, so you know what? A suggestion
Yes,
about view printed minutes?
yes, we'll change that.
Sorry to
you.
be a problem, but I'm just trying to be clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Yant. Thank you for bringing that up to our attention. We'll go ahead and make that correction. That way it's easier for everybody to access. Let's see here. Moving on to item number 4, public comments. In accordance with the Senate Bill 361 and guidance from the California Department of Public Health on gatherings, remote public participation is allowed and will be accepted in person, by email to otp@collegeofthedesert.edu during the meeting and read into the record during public comment, or by using the raise your hand function by joining the Zoom link. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person. All comments must be submitted or brought forward prior to the end of the public comments section. Armando, have we received any public comment today?
Yes, we have 2 written comments that were received. The first one is from Shelley Kaplan and reads as follows. Dear Dr. Garcia, I am writing regarding the recent communications from you and Board of COD regarding the automotive training facility designated for Cathedral City and the new campus plan for Palm Springs. Let me begin by providing context relative to my background in these matters. My 45-year-long career has been in higher education administration, the majority of which included managing campus planning, building design and construction, infrastructure, and campus operations. In addition, I was an elected member of the Cathedral City City Council when we worked with COD for the implementation of the automotive training facility in Cathedral City and helped COD find a suitable land parcel in the city for this educational program. In my career, I have worked for nonprofit private educational institutions, including top research universities, where planning and decision-making was primarily internal to the institution, although even so, clear and timely communications with the surrounding communities was critical to successful projects. I have been quite dismayed by the decision to reconsider the automotive training facility location in Cathedral City. A great deal of effort and hours of discussion went into selecting Cathedral City for this facility and in finding the suitable parcel for its location. As a majority Hispanic city with a very large student age population, the city is a major urban center in the valley for automobile sales and service, which supports locating the program in Cathedral City. To announce without any advance consultation, communication, or discussion that the Cathedral City location is no longer determined, and to provide no clear reasoning for the decision except that the costs have increased seems capricious. The financial numbers you have provided so far are inconsistent. They do not add up. And how can you make a decision that the location is too expensive when you do not have another location or cost estimate for an alternative? What happens when you pick another location and the costs are even higher now that land prices have increased? I worked hard to encourage residents to support the bond issue in 2016 based on my understanding from COD that their board that we would obtain a needed facility in Cathedral City and that the West End campus in Palm Springs, focused primarily on hospitality, a $7 billion a year industry in the valley, and architecture, would be a major part of this bond expenditure. Now, while there has been a nodding support for the West End campus, there has been no clear discussion of what has changed or what the new campus will entail. COD is a community college. That means it needs to be focused on and reflective of the community it serves. A great deal of planning and community discussions went into the plans, which now seem up in the air. I understand that you are new to the Valley and the COD campus and that the pandemic has impacted the Valley over the past 2 years, but most of the board members have provided consistency over the years of planning both before the pandemic and through it. I believe the community deserves full involvement in the discussions regarding how to proceed with the future growth of the COD campuses, and that the board and your administration needs to provide significantly more transparency and clarity over the next few months. This requires providing many opportunities for input from members of the community, elected officials, and business leaders to better understand the best alternatives for COD's future and avoid legal disputation related to the bond expenditures. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Is there any other public comment, Armando?
There is a second written comment. This one is from Mary Lou Marujo and reads as follows. At January's regular board meeting, the trustees had a discussion about conducting community outreach by attending city council meetings to speak about what's happening at the college. This is an admirable initiative for the trustees to undertake in an effort to repair the damage that's been done by COD's reputation by Dr. Martha Garcia and Trustee Ruben Perez, Aurora Wilson, and B. Gonzalez. How shameful it was only a week ago today that Dr. Garcia disrespected the Palm Springs City Council by refusing to present at their regularly scheduled meeting. Dr. Garcia's presentation had been scheduled for weeks, but the day prior to the council meeting, she chickened out, claiming she had a scheduling conflict. If you believe that, I have some oceanfront property in the Coachella Valley to sell you. You would think Dr. Garcia would be eager to speak to the council members to tell her side of the story about what's going on with the Palm Springs campus. But evidently, when she realized she would be expected to answer questions from the council, she panicked. A promise was made, a promise was broken. It's disgraceful. Even if the scheduling conflict excuse is true, it is inexcusable. Dr. Garcia should have cleared her calendar in order to focus on the council presentation. Her inability to manage her calendar is just another reminder that she is unfit for the office she holds. How much longer will the Board of Trustees allow Dr. Garcia's incompetence and deceit to tarnish the good name of College of the Desert? In only 6 months, she's presided over a dumpster fire of her own creation. Every week, more evidence of her inability to effectively perform her job stacks up. Continued inaction by the trustees amounts to a dereliction of their responsibility to ensure the college is managed effectively by their sole employee, the superintendent president. It's important to remember who suffers the most from the mess created by Dr. Garcia and her accomplices, our community students. Educational opportunities are restricted. West Valley students will continue to be forced to travel to Palm Desert to pursue degree and certificate programs that had been promised for Palm Springs and Cathedral City. Students' dreams are delayed, or even worse, canceled. Our Valley students are deciding to pursue their higher education elsewhere, or even worse, not pursuing higher education at all.
Thank you, Ms. Marujo. It's good to hear from you again. I hope you're still enjoying retirement. Is there any more public comment?
There is a hand raised in chat.
We'll go ahead and let them speak.
Okay, Professor Morwenda, you are live.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I'm current faculty at College of the Desert. I'm a very busy man. I got a meeting in a little bit. But I just want to show up and express my support of Dr. Garcia and the good work that she's doing. I'm a little appalled that people that have retired still show up to talk about us from an outsider's perspective. Things are working better for us. We're back face to face. We're seeing our students. We're working with them. They're happy to be there. From the inside perspective, things are going well. Enrollments picked up. We got promotional campaigns out there. We're putting a good effort. So I want to encourage Dr. Garcia to keep up the good work and her team. So thank you. Thank you for doing the good work, difficult work that you're doing. And that's it.
Thank you, Professor Mar, and thank you for all the good work that you're doing. Is there any more public comment, Armando?
That is the last public comment.
Okay, moving on to item number 5, reports. We'll start off with the Associated Students of College of the Desert, ASCOD. We have Amaris Guzman, ASCOD President. Amaris, are you there?
We are moving her over right now. Amaris,
Hi.
there you are.
Oh. Good morning, Chair, Trustees, Dr. Garcia, Executive Cabinet, and guests. My name is Amaris Guzman, and I am the ASCOD President. ASCOD. What? It just asked me to be a panelist, but should I restart?
Go ahead and restart all over.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair, Trustees, Dr. Garcia, Executive Cabinet, and guests. My name is Amara Guzman, and I am the ASCOD President. ASCOD has gotten back to work and has been quite busy since the last board meeting. ASCOD participated in the Student Service Fair on Wednesday, February 2nd, where we were able to connect with other students, introducing them to ASCOD and answering any general questions they may have had. In addition, we are continuing working on filling out vacant positions in ASCOD and are having some success in doing so. As for ASCOD committees, the ASCOD Events Committee is currently working on more in-person events for the students and faculty of College of the Desert for the spring 2022 semester to attend and enjoy. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today. I look forward to seeing what the future holds as we continue to work on behalf of the students and community. If you have any questions, feel free to reach me out through email at pascod@collegeofthedesert.edu.
Thank you, Amaris.
Thank you.
Moving on to Auxiliary College of the Desert Foundation. I think we have a written report from Catherine Abbott.
Catherine is here.
Oh, great.
We are moving her over now.
Awesome.
Okay, Kathy, you are in. You just need to unmute yourself and you're live. Okay, it seems Catherine is attending via her phone and may not be able to read her report, but it was submitted as a written report as well.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to California School Employees Association, CSEA. We have David Schewitz, a CSEA representative.
And he is being moved over now. Okay. David, you are live.
Good morning. Let me grab my full screen here. All right, good morning, Board of Trustees and Dr. Garcia. CSA is happy to see students back on campus, and it gives us hope that we are on the right track to increase enrollment in the coming months. As we all know, student success is the College of the Desert's main priority and the reason that we're all here to serve the students. And we, CSEA, would like to give thanks to Vice President Jeff Baker and Vice President Diana Galindo, as they've continued to work with us to reach positive resolutions and goals. VP Jeff Baker has worked tirelessly in efforts to bring students back to campus. Diana Galindo joined COD just over a month ago, and she's been very proactive in resolving items that have arisen for members. The CSEA would also like to congratulate Dr. Sarah Butler on her new role as Interim Vice President of Instruction and wish her success. Dr. Butler has been instrumental in the HighFlex implementation for COD faculty and students. We hope the success of HighFlex will continue to provide more access for COD courses. Lastly, we hope everyone here at COD enjoyed Super Bowl 56 last Sunday and that you all have a restful and relaxing 4-day weekend. Be safe out there. Thank you. CSEA, Chapter 407.
Thank you, David. Moving on to College of the Desert Adjunct Association, CODA. We have Michael Gladich, adjunct representative here.
We are moving him over now. And Mike, you can unmute yourself and you're live.
All right, good morning. Mr. Chair, Madam Superintendent President, members of the board and college community. as we start the spring semester and the Chinese New Year, Year of the Tiger, CODA is heartened by a recent column in the Desert Sun supporting COD's pause to review construction expenditures. The column points out other community colleges in California have found themselves with excess capacity and enormous maintenance expenses to care for buildings and overhead. It's sensible to look at enrollment and use of already built facilities before creating some white elephants that will cost taxpayers additional money. This is from the Desert Sun on February 6th. As the dust settles from last minute drops and ads, CODA wishes to reaffirm the need for sensible planning informed by the latest data, particularly in course scheduling. As we have seen over the past 2 or 3 weeks, our deans have the flexibility to respond to student needs by modifying course times, modalities, locations, and class sizes before and even during registration. But the deans can't do their job without accurate, ongoing data collection. The more we know about how students want to learn and the timelier that data is, the better our scheduling can match real-time student needs. We applaud the deans who added late start classes, not only increasing enrollment, but also offering employment to many adjuncts who had lost their teaching assignments. Last month, Trustee Yant called the board's attention to a forward-thinking approach to combining teaching modalities known as HighFlex that gives students the freedom to attend any individual class meeting, either in person or online. We support the efforts of the Academic Senate and President Kim Dozier to introduce this option at College of the Desert. Adjuncts are teaching many, if not the majority, of the HighFlex sections. Now, there have been reports of equipment problems and staffing support issues, but we need to remember that this is a pilot project, and the point of a pilot is to let difficulties surface and solve them. Dr. Garcia has pointed out that the fill rate for HighFlex sections at 86.2% is the highest of all the modalities. This bodes well for future enrollment, and CODA encourages the expansion of these HighFlex offerings that give students the flexibility they tell us that they want. In her comments during the Flex Town Hall, Dr. Garcia also mentioned a wish to include CODA, CODFA, and CSEA in finding ways to reverse declining enrollment. The district's Enrollment Management Committee plays a key role in addressing enrollment issues, but currently the unions are not represented on this committee. CODA urges the college to revise the Enrollment Management Committee charter to include one representative from each union. It's essential to get the perspective of the boots on the ground. Finally, CODA has been selected to receive a grant to create an adjunct equity committee, and work is underway to establish that. We are reminded that equity means treating everyone equally and fairly, and that includes ironing out the differences in the ways full-time and part-time employees are regarded and compensated. In short, real equity means parity. And that concludes Dr. Levitt's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm digging the beard this month.
Hey, thank you.
Moving on to Academic Senate, I think I saw Dr. Kim Dozier here. Good to see you. Good morning.
Okay, now I know this thing's not on, is it? Or is it? No, it is on. Is it on? I'm good, okay. technology, right? Welcome back to the spring 2022 semester. It was so fun one day just before classes started in January to drive through our main entrance and all the way around campus and leave through our east entrance on San Pablo. And yes, I had my dog with me. It felt welcoming and normal. I am also excited to see our campus encircled by bright multilingual signs, welcoming our community campus and advertising our flexible course modalities. On the first day of the semester, I staffed one of the welcome tents, and it was amazing to see students in person, smiling even if masked, and help them find classes, hand out snacks, and just chat with them about being back on campus. While we are still working to encourage students to come to or come back to COD, I believe these visible signs are encouraging and a good step towards providing options for our community. Yet despite the positiveness of being back on campus more and interacting with colleagues and students in person, there is still a lot of stress and uncertainty in our lives. And I want to challenge College of the Desert to do more to provide mental health resources and even spaces for students and staff to support our collective and individual well-being. As we live through unprecedented times, it is taking a toll on us. Dr. Thomas Insel was the director of the National Institute of Mental Health from 2002 to 2015, and states in his new book that during his tenure as the nation's psychiatrist, the U.S. suicide rate climbed 33%, overdose deaths tripled, and rates of poverty, homelessness, and incarceration among people with brain disorders went up. Today, suicide claims more than 47,000 lives a year, 3 times as many as homicide, and the rate continues to rise in the U.S., even as it is falling in nearly every other country. Why? And how can COD help to mitigate these shocking numbers in our own community? Besides providing pathways for students to improve their economic outcomes, mental health resources through our Health Services Center, and an outstanding counseling group who guides students through their educational path, are we doing enough to support their mental well-being on a regular basis? Are we giving faculty and staff resources so that they may both stay healthy themselves and support our students who are in crisis? Faculty have access to mental health resources via our EAP program, but when we need that help, do we remember how to get help in a crisis? If we are interacting with a colleague who is stressed or having a mental health challenge, do we know how to respond or whom to contact for help? I'm not sure we do. We were quick to offer our students technology when the pandemic hit, and for a time, access to food and emergency funds. But those things waned as we settled into our virtual world. We were quick to train faculty on Zoom and Canvas when the pandemic hit, but we lost our water cooler connections to each other, and I'm seeing us becoming more bifurcated the longer we are physically separated. Now that some of us are back on campus regularly, we must still socially distance or be masked, and conversations are hurried if at all. Human beings are pack animals, and we have now spent close to 2 years separated from our COD pack. Okay, I know that roadrunners are not pack animals, so I'm mixing my mascot and metaphors. When a pack gets back together after being apart, there is arguing, there is stress, there is sometimes chaos. I do not think we're doing enough to support our pack at the college, and I would like us to commit to doing better by each other. Here are some ideas. Make mental health resources obvious and easily accessible for students and staff. Have calm, safe spaces on campus where people can just be, with no expectations they should be heading to class or grading essays or studying or meeting with a tutor or hurriedly having lunch with the mask pulled down between bites. Expand our food pantry and the snack packs that were in many buildings across campus, but please check the expiration dates on the ones still in the cupboards. Provide training for faculty and staff on how to handle mental health crises. Give us tools to help each other. Bring more fun to campus. Yes, fun, food, games, holiday parties, staff lunches. We can be safe and together. I heard from a colleague this week how demoralized they felt right now. I have seen colleagues stressed or anxious even via Zoom. I have watched people snap at each other in meetings recently. I've heard from students who are still struggling with financial needs and accessing resources for school. I turn to Dr. Insel, who makes it clear that, and I quote, recovery is not just relief of symptoms. It's finding connection, sanctuary, and meaning not defined or delimited by mental health, but by mental illness. And I would add just stress and uncertainty too. Let's bring connection back to COD and work on preventing stress and mental health struggles in our students and faculty, rather than waiting for the crises to come to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zozier, for that report. I think it's that was very good, and there's a lot of food for thought in there.
Chair Perez, I do want to note as well that we may have skipped CODFA, and Professor Oceana Collins is here.
Okay, great. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Okay, can everybody hear me? With the mask, it's hard to tell. All right, well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, trustees. Good morning, College of the Desert community. It certainly is a pleasure to be here in person for the first time since the start of the pandemic. It seems appropriate with all of this beautiful spring-like weather. Keep in mind, I wrote this a week ago, and the Chinese Year of the Tiger, that we should feel renewed and off to a fresh start. Indeed, many faculty, including myself, are working on campus, in their offices, and in the classroom. And the campus is buzzing with activity. CODFA would like to thank all of the staff and administrators who are working behind the scenes every day to ensure that a smooth transition back to face-to-face is possible. CODFA is grateful that we are currently operating under our negotiated spring MOU. However, when discussing this with my CODA colleagues, I was surprised to find that CODA does not currently have an MOU for the spring. This seems to violate the spirit of equity among colleagues, especially given the fact that much of the face-to-face work being done this semester is carried out by our adjunct faculty. CODFA wants to voice our support for our part-time colleagues, and we encourage the district to work with the CODA leadership in the future. Enrollment concerns are on everybody's mind, and we appreciate Dr. Garcia addressing these concerns at her recent town hall meeting. Now more than ever, it's important for the district to make data-driven, informed decisions regarding scheduling and course modalities. I lost my place. We are pleased that the district is now closely monitoring fill rates and providing alternative modalities for students such as HighFlex. CODFA does have some labor concerns related to HighFlex based on feedback from some of our members. We will continue to be in dialogue with our members about this issue. We urge the district to include the unions in discussions and decision-making about the problem of low enrollment. Our members work directly with students on a day-to-day basis, which gives them a solid understanding of the needs and wants of our student population. CODFA would like to see the charter of the Enrollment Management Committee changed to include voting representatives from CODFA, CODA, and CSEA. This month, the board will be looking at recommendations for tenure, and it seems appropriate to mention that CODFA has some serious concerns about how the tenure process has been carried out in previous years at College of the Desert. In general, the process lacks consistency and has led to multiple grievances filed on behalf of our members. As a result of this concern, CODFA will be opening Article 20 tenure review process in the upcoming negotiations in an effort to clarify the language so that it is specific to the spirit of the contract and remove any ambiguities that could potentially lead to an abuse of the process. Finally, we would like to commend the job that Dr. Garcia has been doing at College of the Desert. Dr. Garcia continues to take the time to listen and communicate with the faculty, and she has proven to be a caring and true ally to both faculty and students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to the governing board, Student Trustee Olson.
Good morning, Chair, Trustees, Dr. Garcia, Executive Cabinet, and members of the public. It has been a busy past month. I attended the Student Services Fair on February 2nd. The fair was wonderful. There were many booths set up to share information with students on a variety of programs College of the Desert offers. I heard lots of positive feedback about how it was appreciated. I also attended the American Association of Community Colleges conference in Washington, D.C. with Dr. Garcia and Trustee Gonzalez. All of the speakers were very informative. It was great getting the chance to connect with student trustees from other colleges across the country and hear more about what they are working on in regards to mental health advocacy, student engagement, and many other topics. Since the last meeting, I've also resumed tutoring in person. I'm a math and accounting tutor for the Tutoring and Academic Skills Center on campus. This semester is the first with in-person tutoring available since before the pandemic. Many students have expressed their thankfulness. I also want to add that I support Kim Dozier's statement on the need for additional mental health resources. So many people are struggling and help is desperately needed. Mental health is a serious issue with long-term effects, and COD is in a position to help its students that are suffering. I hope we can improve the resources that COD provides. That is all for my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Trustee Olson. Moving on to Trustee Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I attended the Community College League of California meeting in Sacramento. This was done last month, at the end of the month. It was really an excellent opportunity to attend with my colleagues and to listen to how other community colleges have been navigating through the pandemic, and just to talk with other trustees. So I really enjoyed that opportunity. I'm also the trustee representative for the COD Foundation Board. So I have begun attending those Foundation Board and Executive Committee meetings. Lots of discussion going on regarding the annual fundraising event, the Stepping Out for COD. We are increasing the number of people attending, so that's great news. They're really doing a great job fundraising for that particular event. And they're also setting up for an annual budget meeting to work on their budget for the next year. And also happy to hear that they're going to be starting up campus tours again. This was a favorite that was done several years ago. I'm sure Trustee Stefan will remember that. Was a favorite among people, nonprofit organizations, to come and take a tour of the campus. And I think that's about it for right now, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Trustee Gonzalez, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. I personally like that I look this way and there's people there. That's really cool. So thank you for joining us today. I also want to first and foremost extend my deepest condolences to the family of a student that has started her transitional journey in order to join her ancestors. And I also want to extend prayer to staff and students who may be struggling with health issues. I also had an opportunity to attend the ACCT Legislative Conference in DC. As a student trustee, Olson mentioned, it was really great conference, great speakers, very relevant to guiding us moving forward. Always great to network with amazing folks, and just anything I can do to continue to fuel my fire and see the endless possibilities that we can provide for our students and our community. So I look forward to attending future conferences and being able to implement some of the ideas, programs that we have learned about. And I just, want to say that we're fortunate to have someone like Dr. Garcia at the helm to lead us in these efforts, as she has a proven track record. And as Black History Month comes to an end, I'd like to share one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King. "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And with that, I want to acknowledge my fellow trustees who continue to stand firm and stand tall in order to bring light into our decision-making and fiduciary responsibility, and light to the deals that may have been made in the dark. I'm sure you have all heard and been hearing and seeing all of the darkness and hate in form of comments and propaganda. I actually even attended a meeting of a group out there, and I thought maybe they might have some questions for me, but they didn't. But the incorrect messaging and lies continued. But Mr. Chair, I do have a concern. When I joined that meeting, there was a slide that had some information, misinformation, of course, but the information was a portion of a discussion that took place in closed session. So I continue to have concerns that, that closed session protocol is not being followed. But I do want to say to whomever the trustee is that is taking the liberty to share closed session comments, is if you're going to share them, at least share them in its entirety. Don't just share what, will continue to fuel more fire or is relevant to, you and your friends. So, I just found it, very interesting. And again, I wish the entire conversation would have been shared because it was nowhere near what the discussion that took place. So, and because of all this, I've been doing a lot of reading of articles, newspapers, magazines, and I found it really interesting to see who was on the Palm Springs City Council during the time that the properties were acquired, then moved, and all of that. I even saw some YouTube videos with the former COD president and one of our trustees, Trustee John. From way back when, one of them even had a rendering. I'm not sure if it was rendering 1 through 100 because we've all seen so many of them. But I'm just hoping that, maybe Trustee John can help us out with some of the pictures that I've come across, videos, articles. And, just kind of just brings me back to, all the rhetoric of there not being a feasibility study where there couldn't have been one because we didn't actually even know which project we were looking at. So I'm not sure which one we're still looking at. Is it the one with the hotel, convention center, private bungalows, presidential suites, culinary facilities, or even local organizations that are now claiming that the former president promised them office space there? Yeah, you heard correctly. That's, something that has been brought to my attention. So I'll be asking for more of an in-depth look into, campuses, bond dollars spent, because I do want to be able to provide clear numbers, not only for myself, but I think the community deserves to hear the truth, whatever it may be and whoever may be, implicated or not. So, I just want to make it clear that I was elected to do a job here, and I'm going to continue to do it, not only for my trustee area, but for the entire community. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez. Trustee Yant?
Thank you. This most recent Chronicle of Higher Ed had a very long and interesting and comprehensive study of rebuilding enrollment. And to get to the heart of the matter, it gets down to 4 critical things to rebuild enrollment: outreach, financial aid, support services, and clearly connecting college to career. And I'm really thankful that we have the student services support system and the faculty and staff to implement those 4 things, which really will build our enrollment back. I guess there was an unfortunate misunderstanding this week about Palm Springs City Council. I did attend, I was invited to attend and did attend, and I guess there was a scheduling problem and it didn't happen, but I did have some information that I wanted to share, so I'm going to share that now. And that's these points. West Valley cities have the highest percentage of students qualifying for free and reduced price meals. Cities in the West Valley have the lowest average median income per household. Residents in the West Valley cities are among the lowest college graduate school enrollment. College of the Desert high school capture rates from Palm Springs Unified are the lowest in the valley, and access for West Valley residents is limited by distance and time, as it takes well over an hour to travel by bus from North Palm Springs and Desert Hot Springs to Palm Desert. Those are just some facts that I wanted to share at that meeting, which didn't happen. And I guess it will be rescheduled. There were 30 people that wanted to comment, and I'm sure that they'll be back. And finally, I understand there's a movement among staff and faculty that I want to endorse and participate in, and that is to make a contribution and support of animal Samaritans in the desert. And I will be sending in my check this weekend so that we will have an acknowledgement from College of the Desert faculty and staff for that program. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Trustee, Trustee Stefan.
Trustee Stefan, can you please turn your microphone on? Make sure the red light is,
Oh, stays on.
there you go, yes.
Okay. Okay, first off, I'd like to wish everybody a belated Valentine's Day. A little late, but I hope you all had an excellent Valentine's Day and were able to get with loved ones and enjoy the weekend, long weekend. This last month, I had the opportunity to attend the Community College League's conference in Sacramento. And I attended 14 different sessions and 3 different caucus meetings. And there were so many updates from budget and legislation and new things that were put out that will impact us, hopefully in positive ways, although some of them probably will not help us much. But there is so much to learn. And there always is. I love to attend those sessions. It was great to reconnect with other trustees throughout California, find out what their problems were and how they're working to resolve those, and share our knowledge. I was unable to attend the national conference. However, I was able to attend the conference committee that I am on. It was a 6 a.m. meeting my time because I was out here. So I was able to do it, participate fully. And the committee I'm on is Communications and Education Committee. And if everyone, I believe, received, all the trustees up here received their new trustee quarterly from the ACCT. In the middle, very center, on page 22, there's an article on April is Community College Month, start planning now. And this was the main part of our 2-hour meeting that we had, was planning for Community College Month. So I'm hoping that on our next agenda, we'll be able to look at some things that we can do here at College of the Desert to support community colleges within our community, because they want it done at a community level so that it can help us with our enrollments and put a positive spin on community colleges that we all know we need. The other thing that I started participating in this last month was the University of Southern California's Equity Institute. And we have a large cohort here of College of the Desert faculty, staff, and that are participating in that with me. I'm learning a lot there about equity in our college and how it relates not only diversity, equity, and inclusion in general, but how it relates and impacts our students and our faculty here. And I hope that in future months, I'll be afforded a little bit extra time so that I can give an update, and perhaps we can even get a presentation from someone in the group. It would be excellent. They're really a phenomenal group that we have, and it's a phenomenal training. Lastly, I would hope that at the end of this meeting, we could take a moment of silence at the end of the meeting to remember all of those that we've lost to COVID and all of those who have lost a family member. Just a brief moment, okay, of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stefan. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a meaningful and reflective Black History Month. I, along with my colleagues as well, attended the conference in Sacramento last month, and it was great to engage with different trustees throughout the state of California, many of which are going through the same struggles and issues that we're going through in our district. So it was nice to bounce ideas and get best practices of how it is that we can engage with students and try to get them back onto campus. Over the last month, I also attended that community meeting in Palm Springs. I was hoping that I would be able to clarify any misinformation or answer any questions that they would have, but unfortunately, I wasn't given any time to participate. Hopeful that we can clear up any misinformation here over the next few months. Well, the best place for them to get accurate information would be to attend our meetings and to watch what it is that we're deliberating here on the dais. And as had been mentioned, there was some, I guess, miscommunication with the Palm Springs City Council meeting that was scheduled last week. I wanted to give a little update as board chair. As many of you are aware, we have been engaging with the city in discussions regarding our plans for a future Palm Springs campus. In fact, we have been meeting with them every other month with city council members, course and hostage, along with their city manager, Justin Clifton. And at our January 24th meeting with council members, I suggested that I come out to speak to the entire Palm Springs Council to reaffirm our commitment to the Palm Springs campus. This was me who gave the idea, and as the board knows, I follow through. I was scheduled to speak before the city council last Thursday, but the item was unfortunately postponed by the city. Our board president, Dr. Garcia, had also planned to participate Thursday evening, but the city informed us late Wednesday that due to a scheduling issue on their agenda, our presentation would be moved back to a time after 8 p.m. Dr. Garcia informed the city that while others from the college would be present, she was available until 7:15 p.m. that evening, after which she would have to depart to attend a College of the Desert Foundation function that had been scheduled weeks ago. As a result, the city pulled our presentation from the agenda, which was very disappointing. As a board chair representing the college, I was looking forward to making the presentation before the council, especially given the significant public interest in this project. Although I wasn't being allowed to present, I still felt it was important for our partners at the city council to hear from us, so I spoke during the public comment portion at the city council meeting instead. I was only given 2 minutes to speak, so I clearly communicated to the council that our board is fully committed to the Palm Springs campus and that I am personally committed to making this campus a reality. We are all committed on this board to making this project come to fruition. We're working to get our presentations rescheduled before the city council sometime in March, and I am looking forward to presenting to the full council at that future date. I will report back to the board after what I hope will be a positive meeting with the city council next month. That's it for me. We'll go ahead and move on to our superintendent president, Dr. Garcia.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we start, I want to ensure that I express tremendous gratitude to the employees of College of the Desert for their commitment to our students and to serve this community. In addition, I want to express gratitude to our students and commend them for their resiliency. Next slide. Student Services Fair. It has previously been mentioned during this meeting. It took place on February 2nd, and over 20 programs participated, including ASCOD. A total of 450 students attended, and I had the opportunity to attend myself and engage with our students and their parents, and it was just amazing to see them there. The energy, the liveliness that they bring to this institution is truly remarkable. Thank you to every single employee who participated, and students as well. Next slide. Tiny Housing Project. This project was highlighted in the news, and it's definitely an amazing opportunity for our students, specifically our architecture class students who are building this tiny home in collaboration with Desert Sands School District, Southwest Regional, Carpenters Union, and led by our Professor Bitanga. So the students will complete the tiny house this semester, and the goal is to sell it. So great job to everyone that's involved in this project. Next slide. I want to focus on sharing with all of you the in-person enrollment of our students. From the 10,097 students enrolled this semester, 4,892 are attending at least one course that includes in-person instruction. And that could be a complete face-to-face course. It can be a hybrid course or a high-flex course. What does this tell me? About 50% of our students are engaging with us in person. There's definitely interest. And it is important that we continue to modify our scheduling as we move forward and try to determine that or try to ensure that the courses that are being offered are meeting students' needs while ensuring that our team is safe and the students in the community that come to campus are safe. The COVID-19 team has been working tirelessly to ensure students submit their affidavit to confirm vaccination status or request an exemption. So I thank them wholeheartedly for their hard work. In addition, students who submit verification of their vaccination status can receive up to a $100 Amazon gift card. The cost is covered under the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. And it is important that I highlight that under the purchase orders included in this board agenda, specifically purchase order number B004511 in the amount of $1 million is to cover this incentive for students. This is covered by federal one-time funding that we have available. It's an incentive for students. The more students are vaccinated, frankly, the safer we are. So next slide. I want to conclude by sharing some of the activities that I participated in since our last board meeting. These do not include all of them. I especially want to highlight the faculty members who are here. They participated along with the other student services programs during the Student Services Fair, and we're highlighting the Black Student Success Center and a shirt that has a very powerful message just looking at that picture. I will end by stating that, as mentioned by student trustee Olson and trustee Gonzalez, we attended the American Community College 2022 National Legislative Summit and had an opportunity to meet with Congressman Ruiz virtually. I will follow up with scheduling an appointment with him at his request locally and look forward to working with him as we move forward to serve this community and to serve our students. So thank you very much. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. It was a very busy month. Moving on to item 6.01, or proclamation on the National Athletic Training Month. At this time, I would like to invite Todd Conger, athletic trainer, to introduce our student reader.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Mr. Chair, trustees, and President Garcia. As stated, my name is Todd Conger. I'm one of the athletic trainers here at College of the Desert. I'd like to start off by inviting all of you. We have a busy weekend in athletics. Our student athletes are very involved, and we have women's tennis this afternoon on our tennis courts. We have beach volleyball tomorrow morning across the street at the Civic Center Park. We have softball and baseball tomorrow afternoon on campus, as well as Saturday. We have baseball and softball on campus. That being said, I'd like to introduce Sam Pilato. He's a sophomore here at COD. He is a second semester pre-professional student in our athletic training program. Sam?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, the Board of Trustees, and Dr. Garcia. National Athletic Training Month. Whereas athletic trainers have a long history of providing quality health care for athletes and those engaged in physical activity based on specific tasks, knowledge, and skills acquired through their nationally regulated educational processes. And whereas athletic trainers provide prevention of injuries, recognition, evaluation and aggressive treatment, rehabilitation, healthcare administration, education and guidance, compassionate care for all, and whereas Athletic Trainers Association represents and supports 44,000 members of the athletic training profession employed in the following settings: professional sports, college and universities, high schools, clinics and hospitals, corporate and industrial settings, performing arts, military branches, and Whereas leading organizations concerned with athletic training and healthcare have joined together in a common desire to raise public awareness of the importance of athletic training profession and to emphasize the importance of quality healthcare within the aforementioned settings. And whereas such an effort will improve healthcare for athletes and those engaged in physical activity and promote athletic trainers as health professionals. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District and its board meeting of February 17th, 2022, designate the month of March 2022 as National Athletic Training Month. The Board of Trustees urge everyone to learn more about the importance of athletic training. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees encourage the observance of National Athletic Training Month throughout the entire community college district. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, now we're at item 6.02, Proclamation for Women's History Month. At this time, I would like to invite Carlos Maldonado, Associate Dean for Student Services, to introduce our student reader.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, board members, President Garcia, Executive Cabinet, and guests. I'm Carlos Maldonado, and I have the honor of introducing the reader of the Desert Community College Proclamation for National Women's History Month, Ms. Amaris Guzman. Amaris is a graduate of Coachella Valley High School in her second year at College of the Desert and currently serves as the 2021-2022 ASCOD president. She is majoring in psychology at College of the Desert and hopes to complete her AA degree by the end of the spring term. She is currently applying to four-year universities and hopes to transfer in the upcoming fall. At her new school, she will work towards earning a bachelor's degree in liberal studies and pursue a career in education. Her dream is to become a high school teacher and help her community excel. Amaris is a proud citizen of the Coachella Valley and resides in Thermal, California. She has proven to be a valuable leader on campus, and I'm grateful for her patience and grace as she navigates her role as the ASCOD president. Please help me welcome Amaris Guzman to the screen to read the Desert Community College District's proclamation for National Women's History Month.
Welcome, Amaris.
Thank you. Women's History Month. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. Whereas American women have played and continue to play critical economic, culture, and social role in every sphere of life of the nation by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of the home. Whereas American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force of the nation. Whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of the early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institution in our nation. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. Whereas American women have served our country courageously in the military, whereas American women have been leaders, not only in securing their own rights of the suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolishment movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements, especially the peace movement, which create a more fair and society for all. And whereas despite these contributions, the role of the American women in history has consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, teaching, and study of American history. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District, at its board meeting of February 17th, 2022, designate March 2022 as Women's History Month. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of Trustees encourages observance of Women's History Month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities.
Thank you, Amaris.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 7.01, consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be considered for approval by a single vote without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed and considered separately in the action agenda. I myself would like to request that item 9.01 be pulled from the consent agenda.
9.01 or 9.0?
9.07, I'm sorry. I would like to
Okay.
request that item 9.07 be pulled from the consent agenda. May I ask,
Yes. Well, let's identify if there's any other items that.
is there any other items on the agenda item consent that would like to be pulled by any members of the board?
Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt. I apologize. You need a motion and then a second, and then in the discussion, you would pull 9.07.
I see. Okay, thank you for that clarification, Carlos.
Yes, sir.
I'll go ahead and reread the item. All items on the consent agenda will be considered for approval by a single vote without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed and considered separately in the action agenda. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Trustee Stefan.
May I have a second?
Second, Trustee Gonzalez.
We have a motion from Trustee Stefan and a second from Trustee Gonzalez. Now we can go ahead and pull items, correct? I would like to request that item 9.07 be pulled from the consent agenda. And another item that I would be remiss if we didn't mention, and it's on a solemn note, we also want to recognize that a couple of names on item 8.02, Marissa Bañuelos and Robin Ritchie, unfortunately passed away recently, and we would be remiss not to recognize their dedicated service and passion for their careers. Our thoughts and prayers go out to their families and loved ones. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? We already did that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, are we going to be pulling then 8.02 to make any changes, or you just made the statement?
I think I just made the statement. I apologize.
Okay.
It's kind of going through the script right here. Can we ask VP Ramon to come up for item 9.07, please?
Sir, the appropriate thing would be to conclude this item, so it sounds like there's no more discussion on this, so you'll approve the consent item minus 9.07, and then 9.07 will be an item held by itself, and that would be the time that you would call Mr. Ramon.
Okay. President Garcia, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Student Trustee Olson?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson? Yes. Trustee Gonzalez?
Aye.
Trustee Yant?
Yes.
Trustee Stefan?
Aye.
Trustee Perez?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, and I appreciate everyone bearing with me. I'm still kind of getting used to running the meeting. At this point, is it appropriate to bring up Vice President Ramon to present on item 9.07?
If I may, I would suggest you ask if there is a motion to approve item 9.07, and then a second, and then you can invite him for discussion.
May
So
I
move,
have,
Mr. Chair.
may I have a second?
Second.
We have a first from, motion from Trustee Wilson and a second from Trustee Gonzalez. Man, that was brutal.
You're doing a great job, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and board members and President Garcia. So this item is the routine. We bring 3 quarterly reports a year that are financial reports to as routine items, and then we do an annual report in September. This is our second quarter. Typically, our second quarter report is still based mainly on our budget. And once we get some payrolls under our belt for the spring, we start tightening up those projections for the third quarter report. But the way the report reads, if you can see it on the top, I know it's a little bit tight, The first section basically goes over our historical financial information and where we are projected to be at the end of this coming year. And you can see one of the things that I draw your attention to would be that we've had a steady increase in our ending fund balance over the past few years, and that's pretty typical of the colleges right now because expenses have been going down with the pandemic, and there have been a lot of hold harmless and a lot of new revenues coming in. So the finances have been pretty strong up to this point. And you can see that our ending fund balance for this year, last year we finished at 30.6. We expect to be just slightly below that. We essentially have a balanced budget for this year. The next item is the annualized FTES. That's the section 2 there. And that shows the trend. This pulls directly from our attendance reporting from the state. We don't enter these numbers directly, but it's from our reporting to the state that we submitted. And you can see very clearly there what our enrollment has turned into as far as our FTS, going from 10,683 in 18-19 and up to 10,732, and then dropping last year to 8,737. And this year we're projected to be at 7,378 FTS. So that's something that, you know, as we discuss enrollment, that's what we're watching and being very mindful and being very careful about. Our cash position is the next item, and that shows historically where at December 31st, how much cash was held in the unrestricted and restricted general funds combined. And we're in a healthy cash position that also is reflected in our ending fund balance. And then the next section is basically, it shows our adopted budget, what our current budget is with any changes in it. And then it shows our actuals to date, and it shows our actuals that we've received 35% of our anticipated revenues, and as of December 31st, expended about 48.6% of our expected expenditures, which puts us right on track. We're halfway through the year, and that's about half of our expenses. The next items are informational items that bring up other things if we answer differently. We don't have any new employee contracts settled. And then underneath, we currently don't have, or we did issue some new general obligation bonds. So we did have a significant financial event during that quarter when we issued our most recent series of bonds. And then it says the last item is, do we have any significant fiscal problems that must be addressed this year, next year? No, and that will, you know, that reflects our current from what we know. And of course, as we continue on, we'll continue to update these.
Is there any questions from the Board of Trustees? No? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Number action.
We'll proceed with the vote on this item. On item 9.07.
At this, okay, bear with me. At this point, we would like to call for a roll call vote. President Garcia?
Student Trustee Olson?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Aye.
Trustee Yant?
Yes.
Trustee Stefan?
Aye.
Trustee Perez?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, moving on to item 11, action Board of Trustees, 11.01, resolution number 021722-1, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District making findings and determinations under AB 361 for continued virtual meetings. Do I have a motion to approve item 11.01 as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Gonzalez and a second by Trustee Wilson. Any discussion?
Yes, I just want to, oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, wrong plate.
Okay. President Garcia, roll call vote, please.
Student Trustee Olson?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Aye.
Trustee Yant,
Yes.
Trustee Stefan,
Aye.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 11.02, resolution number 021722-3, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District adjusting the boundaries of trustees' electoral areas and confirming such revised trustee area boundaries as reflected in the attached map. At this time, I would like to invite Jim Priest of Best and Krieger to present the staff report related to this item. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, honorable staff, and the public. Jim Priest, Best and Krieger. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. Well, we're here. We're at the last meeting, at least I think it's the last meeting on this topic. Just by way of background, we are having a final meeting with regard to redistricting for the 2020 census. For the benefit of the public, I'll let you know that we currently in the Desert Community College District elect our board by trustee areas, 5 trustee areas. The district has been doing that since 2012 when it transitioned over. And every 10 years under the California Education Code and board policy, the district is required to look at its electoral map and determine whether the areas within that map are still population balanced. And we're going to get into that in a little bit in a second. If they are still population balanced, then the map is fine for another 10 years. If they are not population balanced, then the district's required to make adjustments to the boundaries to get that map population balance. The staff report gets into this a little bit. When we looked at your current trustee areas in light of the 2020 census data, we found that you had a larger deviation than is allowed under the law to keep the areas as nearly equal in population as possible. The law allows for up for a 10% deviation between your highest area that's overpopulation and your lowest area that's underpopulation. In your case, trustee area 2 was over by about 6,100 people from perfect equality of population number. And area 4 was your most under by about 3,800 people, and area 3 was under by about 3,400 people. Now, again, as we go through these 2 map options, I want to note that you can reduce that deviation. Let me back up. The end total is that you had a 10.97% deviation. So that exceeds what the law allows on that. So we had to make some adjustments, propose some adjustments to the map in order to get that deviation down. And I'll note that that deviation can go down by either reducing your highest population area or increasing your lowest population area. It's a matter of just closing that delta there. And so what you have is you have 2 maps before you, which have been under consideration for a while, which do reduce that deviation down to an acceptable amount of variation, under 10%. Before we get into the maps specifically, I also want to just highlight that this is the last meeting out of a long series of meetings that the board and the advisory committee have had. I'll note that all the way back in October 8th, the board first considered this issue and then established a 5-member Citizens Advisory Redistricting Committee. And they have been diligently working on this for the last several months. The advisory committee met twice in October and November. The Board of Trustees and the advisory committee held a joint workshop in December, and they considered these 2 maps that you have before you today. The advisory committee met 3 more times after that, and the Board of Trustees had a noticed public hearing on January 21st of this year. So these maps have been discussed at length by both the board and the advisory committee, and they remain the 2 maps that are under consideration today. I will note that between the 2 maps, the advisory committee recommended map option number 1 because it's a simpler map. And again, we're going to get into those details in just a second. So let's look at the maps. If you could pull up, yeah, the first option, there we go, map option 1. That is it moves less people around. It is the simpler option. Really, the only population that transfers is if you look into the northwest part of that map. There's an area of area 3 in the green. I'm sorry, there we go. There's an area above the I-10 freeway in area 3.
Okay, I'm confused.
That stretches
Jim, can I,
over.
just a question for clarification, is the map that we're going over right now, the top one, is that option 1 or is that option 2?
I'm sorry, we seem to have a technological thing going on here. Yeah, this is map option 1 I'm talking about. If we could pull map option 1 back up. Now, the only change
So the
that
one
map
up above, the
option
one that
1
we're looking at
makes-
now, Mr. Chair, is,
Map option 2.
okay, that's not what he's saying. Is the map we are looking at now, sir, is that option
Okay.
1?
What you have here is sort of a typesetting issue. The map that is on the screen currently is map 1. It just carried over from the prior page.
So it's option 1, thank you.
Yes, so the one that's centered on the screen right now is map option 1. And again, I would ask to zoom in on that northwestern portion of map option 1. Thank you. The only change map option 1 makes to your existing areas is that if you look at the part of area 3 that now stretches over the I-10 freeway, that would be moving people from area 2 to area 3. Moves about 4,000 people. And the only change it makes is between area 2 and 3. Areas 1, 4, and 5 are completely left alone. So what that does is it takes, remember, area 2 was about 6,000 people over. And area 3 was under about 3,400 people. So what this does is it moves about 4,000 people out of 2 and into 3. So now area 3 ends up a little bit over, but not much. And area 2 ends up with a much smaller deviation. Instead of being about 6,000 people over equal, it's about 2,000 people over equal. And so what that does is by taking your highest high and reducing that, even without touching area 4, which is your lowest low, you get that deviation down to 6.48%. And that's legally acceptable under federal and state law. So the merits of map 1 is that it's simpler and it makes less changes. It's just moving 4,000 people in that area above I-10 in the northwest corner there. All it does is move 4,000 people from area 2 to area 3. 1, 4, and 5 are untouched. Now, a 6.48 deviation is good. It could be lower. And that gets us to map option number 2. So if we could pan down to map option number 2, please. We can zoom that in a little bit. Now with map option 2, there's a bit more going on here. First of all, you'll notice that more people transfer from 2 into 3. If you look at that spot above area 3, north of the I-10, it's bigger than map option 1. Moves more people from 2 to 3. So what ends up happening also is if you can, gosh, I wish we had the Google map here. Do we have the Google map available? We had it the last meeting. Staff?
We do not at this time. Sorry, Jim.
We don't. Okay. Please zoom in on area 3 to the best you can on this. Okay. Now, as I said, north of I-10, you've got more people moving in that larger area above area 4. And again, that ends up moving a lot more people out of 2, gets area 2 down to just about equal, actually a little bit under equal. But now what you've done is you've moved a ton of people into area 3 and you've made area 3 over. And so what happens in redistricting sometimes you sort of get this cascade effect where you move people from one area to another, then you've got to move other people to another area to balance things out. So as I said, this map option moves a lot more people, moves about 7,000 people out of area 2 to area 3 north of the I-10. And then to balance out area 3, you could scroll down just a little bit. There is an area right near, gosh, I wish we had the, oh, that's a little better. That's a little better. And what that does here is if you see Cathedral City in the center of the screen, that area line normally would go, you see how at I-10 it goes straight down for area 3 and 4, that dividing line? It would normally just keep going straight down to where that corner turns off. However, more of Cathedral City is added into area 4. And what that ends up doing is it ends up moving about 3,500 people. And so you've moved about 7,000 from 2 to 3. You've now basically overpopulated area 3. So you've got to move people up from 3 to another area, and that moves them to 4. And then that basically gets you down to a very low deviation of 1.77. So that's just about dead center equal, about as good demographically as you can get. But again, the trick here is you have a lot more people moving here, a lot more changes. Oh, one other change I was going to mention, I forgot to mention this earlier. If you look at area 4, there is a little, looks like a little check piece that comes out on the west side of area 4 under Palm Desert. That area and a little bit of area just west of that under this map moves from area 4 to area 3. Only moves about 130 people, but the issue there is that area 3 and area 4 elect at different times. And so those 150 people that you move from area 4 to area 3 will elect at a different time than they are used to. So again, those are the main changes in map option 2. Like I said, a lot more going on, gets you a lower deviation, and that's a good thing. But again, it does make a lot more changes. I will emphasize no changes are suggested to areas 1 or 5 in this. Areas 1 and 5, when we did the census analysis in the very beginning, came out just about dead even right from the beginning. So no changes are proposed to 1 and 5 at this time. It's either map option 1, which makes the one change between area 2 and 3, or map option 2, which makes a few extra changes between areas 2, 3, and 4. The committee ultimately recommended going with map option 1 due to its simplicity, making less changes, and it still gives you an acceptable legal deviation. That said, that was a recommendation of the Advisory Redistricting Commission. The board has the final decision to make on this. We have the 2 maps available to you. I will note that a resolution is attached to the staff report, which contains all the required findings and language that we put into these adoption documents. You'll notice that the one thing, besides signatures and dates, the one thing that we have left open on this is which map option to fill in. That will be a decision that the board makes, and then we can fill that in as appropriate into the resolution, and that will reflect the final action of this board. Let me see if there was anything else I was going to mention to you on that. No, that would be about it. I would mention that March 1st is our legal deadline to finish up this work and get it to the county. And so, you know, I leave it with the board on that. Once we get this approved, we'll take this to the county committee for school district organization, and they have a hearing, and then they review it. my understanding is that the county committee is basically approving these as long as they're reasonable. And they've gone through the process at your local district board. So that's about it. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, discuss. And thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Is there any questions from the board? Yes, Trustee Stefan, go ahead.
I was here 10 years ago when we did this before. And at that time, we made major changes at the east end of the valley as well as throughout the whole district, hoping, and some of them were pretty drastic changes. But we did that in the hopes that we wouldn't have to spend as much money with redistricting in the future because it is a costly thing to do. And so I know that at that time, one of the recommendations, because I live in Indio, was that I give up portions of Indio. And one of those portions was where our campus is in Indio. And because we were looking at the financial things, I did that because I thought, we won't have to do that in the future. And I guess we kind of made the right decision there. We didn't have to redo that area this time. But what I'm wondering is if there's any information about where the growth trends are. I would assume that the most growth that we've had has been in District 2. And the reason I'm saying that is because that's the one that seems to have the, be over by the 4,000 people or was it 4,800, I believe. So I'm looking at that thinking that that maybe we should be leaning toward the second one, because if we go for something that is still over halfway to that 10.97% deviation that we're allowed, that perhaps in the next 10 years, we're going to have another major change. And I know that there were people impacted last time from my district that were transferred to a different district, and there were a lot more of them that were impacted in changing their election year. But people do adjust, and although it might seem like we're impacting people negatively, I just think that it would be more fiscally responsible if we considered option 2. Just throw that out there.
Thank you.
If I may just briefly comment, Mr. Chair, on that point. It is true, map option 2 gets you the lower deviation, and that definitely increases the chances that 10 years from now, you may not have to adjust your boundaries again. Because if you use option 1 and you get it down to a 1.77 deviation, there may not be that much population growth and shift to throw that off 10 years from now. But again, I don't have a crystal ball who can predict population growth in 10 years. You may be doing this again in 10 years, you may not. I can't say for sure. What I can say is the lower they get the deviation now, it at least increases the chances you may not be doing this again in 10 years.
Thank you, Jim. And just for clarification, this would be implemented this election cycle, correct?
Yes, this would apply to the November 2022 regular election and all regular elections going forward.
Great, thank you. Is there any more questions or comments from the board?
Trustee Stefan,
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts then?
Well, my thought was that we should, that we'd stand a better chance of maybe not having to redistrict in 10 years if we went with option 2, because it seems drastic, but it only really affects, what did he say, 150 people changed their election year? I believe that is.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I know that before, 10 years ago, we had a lot more people that were impacted in election years, and that was right around the corner that time too. But it was, but this time, I guess our decision was a wise decision, I'm just throwing it out there that, sometimes we have to make a hard choice, or what seems like a harder choice, because we want to hopefully save the money down the road. And no, we can't predict what's ahead, but I'm looking at, we're not really that far out, but if we take that, what seems more drastic here today, that it might mean we'll be within that 10.97% deviation next time.
Trustee Yant, any thoughts?
No, I just wanted to hear clarification from Trustee Stefan, so.
Is there any other questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to see option 1 again, if I may. I'll pull up the map.
Miguel, can you pull that up for us, please?
Okay, and if you could just, okay, I see. Okay.
And I would note again that on map option 1, the only change that is made is that green area above I-10 in the northwest corner. No other changes are made on that.
And this is what the committee voted to have as option 1.
That is correct.
Okay, so those are the representatives that were representing each district, correct?
That is what they voted, yes.
Thank you.
Do you happen to know what was it a unanimous decision, Jim, on map area 1 or 2?
I don't remember. I believe it was. I don't know, is Mr. Moda or is anybody from the redistricting committee present who may be able? I know Dr. Andrews would know, but I don't believe she's in right now.
Dr. Andrews is here. I think she might be able to clarify for us. She's coming right up.
It was a unanimous decision.
It was unanimous. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. All righty. Is there any other discussion or questions? If not, I think I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I motion that we approve option 1. Would that be the correct language to say? Option 1 for the trustee electoral areas.
Okay, if I may, Mr. Chair, I would suggest just wording the motion. I'll word the motion for the record if you'd like.
Sure.
It would be a motion to adopt the resolution approving map option 1.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Wilson, a second from Trustee Gonzalez. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I would like to thank my personal representative, Mike Gialdini, for participating on this group. A lot of work went into this, a lot of hours, a lot of examination of maps and et cetera. So I really do appreciate the time taken by our volunteers to go through this effort for us. Thank you.
Definitely, Trustee Wilson. I also echo those comments. I want to thank my personal representative and everybody else that committed to working on this project. It's hard for me to dismiss all the great work that they did, so I'll be going with the recommendation.
I'd also like to thank all the committee members. It wasn't that I was discounting them. It was just that I was looking at the financial liability that we will probably have in the next 10 years.
Understood, Trustee Stefan. I didn't mean to imply anything. Is there, okay, Dr. Garcia, I call for a roll call vote.
Student Trustee Olson?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes, and as well, thank you to all the committee members.
Trustee Yant?
I'm a bit confused as to this. I guess yes.
Trustee Stefan?
And I'm going to vote no, just because I think that.
Trustee Perez?
I vote yes.
Motion carries.
That's a 4-1 vote. And then
Motion carries 4-1.
Trustee Perez, I just want to clarify that was a 5-1 vote,
5-1.
just to clarify for the record.
Oh, because trustee,
The student trustee.
the student trustee? Okay.
Okay.
Um,
And that is to adopt the resolution in its language along with map option 1. Will do.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Everyone have a good day.
Okay, all righty, moving on to action number, item number 12, I'm sorry, 12.01, budget revisions. Do I have a motion to approve item number 12.01 as presented?
So moved, Trustee Stefan.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Stefan. Is there a second?
Did we miss the,
We did, but he can go back to that right when he's done with this one.
okay. Second.
Any discussion? President Garcia, roll call vote, please.
Student trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Aye.
trustee Yant,
Yes.
trustee Stefan,
Aye.
trustee Perez.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chair, you'll go back to number 11.03 now.
Oh. Moving back to item number 11.03, member at large East Valley Taxpayer Association and student representative appointments on the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Do I have a motion to approve item 11.03 as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion from trustee Stefan. Is there a second? I'll go ahead and second. Any discussion?
Could we get a report on this, Mr. Chair?
Dr. Garcia?
I would like to communicate to all of you that we received 5 applications for the member at large East Valley. I ensured I reviewed the bylaws thoroughly to follow the process, evaluated the applications. I've included under executive content a biography for the representatives, and I'm presenting to you those that are recommended.
Okay. I guess my question, so, I am the trustee representative for the Citizens Bond Oversight Group, so we'll begin the process of meeting then. Our next meeting is next month, or?
So the Citizens Bond Oversight meets on a quarterly basis. These individuals, if approved by the board, would be included.
Right, okay.
In the next meeting.
Okay. I just wanted to get an understanding of how the process works.
So according to the bylaws, we advertise for applications, obviously to those interested, and the superintendent president reviews the applications and makes a recommendation to the board.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Just a comment, Mr. Chair. Just want to appreciate Dr. Garcia and her staff for, taking the time to carefully review on the applications, because we definitely, need to provide MAC with a good team. So, I'm confident that it was, all applications were reviewed and that the folks who were selected were indeed, the best to represent us. I think we're at a very crucial time right now, and we always are. With our reps, and hopefully their loyalty is to the taxpayers of the community and to our students. And, I look forward to working with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Gonzalez. Roll call vote, President Garcia?
Student trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Aye.
trustee Yant,
Yes.
trustee Stefan,
Aye.
trustee Perez.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving forward to item 12.02, resolution number 021722-2, authorized signatures. Do I have a motion to approve item 16.02 as presented?
So moved, Trustee Stefan.
We have a motion by trustee Stefan. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by trustee Wilson. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, roll call vote, President Garcia.
Student trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Aye.
trustee Young,
Yes.
trustee Stefan,
Aye.
trustee Pettis.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item 12.03, the 2022-2023 non-resident tuition and capital outlay student fees. Do I have a motion to approve item 12.03 as presented?
So move.
Okay, we have a motion from trustee Stefan. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm very glad to see that we're keeping the fees low, especially with our enrollment down. I think it will really assist students and encourage the public to get back into education.
I agree. Good point, trustee Stefan.
Definitely agreed. President Garcia, will you call roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Aye.
trustee Young,
Yes.
trustee Stefan,
Aye.
trustee Pettis.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 12.04, notice of completion, bond projects. Do I have a motion to approve item 12.04 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Gonzalez and a second by trustee Stefan. Any discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none. President Garcia, roll call vote, please.
Student trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Aye.
trustee Young,
Yes.
trustee Stefan,
Aye.
trustee Pettis.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item 12.05, notice of intent to award 24 contracts, bid number 43-98E-0500, Indio expansion, construction-related services for the Indio expansion, campus expansion project. Do I have a motion to approve item 12.05 as presented?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Stefan, second by trustee Gonzalez. Any discussion?
I just have a comment, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure that, that we point out, because I know there's misinformation, that somehow this board was canceling the project in Indio. I still have no idea where all this cancellation of any of those projects have come from, other than someone's, just made it up. But I just want to point out that here we are. This project obviously had been moved forward way before, probably my time even. And just want to point out that it's moving forward, and I'm looking forward to our groundbreaking ceremony. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we have that scheduled for next month. Thank you, trustee Gonzalez. I echo those comments. Dr. Garcia, roll call vote, please.
Student trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Aye.
trustee Young,
Yes.
trustee Stefan,
Aye.
trustee Pettis.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to item number 13, action item on human resources, 13.01, tenure review. Do I have a motion to approve item 13.01 as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion from trustee Stefan. Second?
I'll second.
Second from trustee Gonzalez. Any discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Roll call vote, President Garcia.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Did we lose him?
Trustee Young, you there?
Trustee Young,
Yes, I didn't hear you call my name. Yes.
trustee Stefan,
Aye.
trustee Pettis.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item 13.02, presentation of the initial reopener proposals for the Desert Community College District to the College of the Desert Faculty Association. The recommendation is to agendize this item as a public hearing during next month's regular meeting. Do I have a motion to postpone item 13.02 to bring back during the March regular meeting?
So moved.
So we have a motion by trustee Gonzalez, second.
Second.
Second by trustee Stefan. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Roll call vote, President Garcia.
Student trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Aye.
trustee,
Yes.
thank you. Trustee Stefan,
Aye.
Trustee Pettis.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item 13.03, presentation of the initial reopener proposals for the College of the Desert Faculty Association to the Desert Community College District. The recommendation is to agendize this item as a public hearing during next month's regular meeting. Do I have a motion to postpone item 13.02 to bring back during the March regular meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Gonzalez, second by Trustee Stefan. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, President Garcia, roll call vote, please.
Student Trustee Olson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Yant.
Yes.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Pettis.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 14, we're moving on to study sessions now. 14.01, Athletics and Kinesiology Programs Update. I would like to introduce Gary Plunkett, Dean of Health Sciences and Education, to present this item.
Just next slide.
Welcome, Gary. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for the invitation to present this morning. So good morning, Mr. Chair, Dr. Garcia, Executive Cabinet members who are behind me, trustees and guests. It is my pleasure to present this morning an update on the kinesiology and athletics programs and our return to in-person activities. Next slide. First, an overview. This will be a rather brief presentation looking at the two programs and focusing on the adaptations, participation, challenges, and successes of each. Next slide. I'll start first with the academic program, Kinesiology. Next slide, please. Kinesiology is the study of human movement. Our program offers 2 degrees, 3 certificates, 5 general education courses, and traditionally a robust offering of activity classes. Kinesiology instruction by nature and convention is delivered in the in-person, face-to-face format. Prior to March 2020 shutdown, only one of our kinesiology courses was being offered in the fully online modality. This slide highlights the adaptations our faculty have made to deliver kinesiology to our students in the era of COVID. Many lecture courses are now being offered in the hybrid format, with most of the content being delivered online and meeting in person for some physical activity. 5 of our activity classes are now offered as fully online. And you can see the image in the bottom left is our department chair, Wendy Ansley, recording a yoga sequence for her fully online yoga class. And in-person activities have been moved outdoors whenever possible. The image on the bottom right is a yoga class that is taking place outdoors rather than in the studio in front of the Fountain of Knowledge. Next slide, thank you. Challenges remain as faculty address the pedagogical concerns of balancing a need for the physical with the desire for the virtual with our students. Many classes have not been offered for a number of reasons. Those listed at the bottom cannot be moved online for many reasons, such as equipment and the need for the physical instruction. And meanwhile, they have not been able to be offered in the face-to-face format due to a number of reasons: low enrollment, safety concerns, unavailability of instructors. Next slide, thank you. This slide shows our kinesiology general education courses and compares the number of offerings by modality in spring 2020 to now, spring 2022. Please note that the bottom 2 classes converted to hybrid, not fully online, because of the need for face-to-face instruction of self-defense skills or basic lifesaver skills associated with them. The key takeaway from this slide is that, as expected, the online versions of these classes are most popular, while hybrid and face-to-face offerings are down significantly. Next slide. And now we'll move on to the co-curricular program, athletics. Next slide, please. Athletics returned to action in person on campus in July 2021, following a long list of safety protocols, including mandatory testing and masking mandated by the California Community College Athletic Association. The image on the top right is of our athletic trainer team, Valerie Calderon, Todd Conger, and Brenda Valdez-Nava. How appropriate, by the way, was it that we recognized Athletic Trainer Month with the proclamation earlier this session. The image on the bottom right shows that huddles look a little different these days, masks and social distancing. Next slide. The state offered some eligibility relief for 2019-2020 student athletes who have returned to play this year. Fall 19 athletes were allowed to participate with a lower unit requirement. Spring 20 athletes who had their seasons cut short in March of 2020 were given their year of eligibility back. Those who completed their AA degree since then have been permitted to return and play this year while enrolled in only 6 units. Next slide, thanks. This slide compares residency before shutdown to now. The image on the left is from my June 21 board study session on athletics and shows a 10-year average of where our student athletes come from. I'm showing the chart on the left to show that a significantly higher percentage of student athletes are from our district this year, with a lower percentage from out of state and out of area. We attribute this to an increased cost in housing. Simply put, more local student athletes are choosing to stay and compete here this year rather than move away to go to college, and fewer athletes from out of the area are moving here. Next slide. So the next 3 slides compare roster sizes from the 1920 season to this year by season. We'll start first with fall, and you'll note in the lower right-hand corner a net loss in student participation for our fall sports, down significantly, minus 43 students. Cross country and football took the biggest hits. It was really quite remarkable that football started the season with such low numbers, yet held together a roster and competed in all 10 games scheduled. Next slide. Basketball also took a hit. Men's basketball down just 2 players. However, we were not able to field a women's basketball team this year. So the loss in enrollment from fall and winter sports we attribute to the fact that we started late in July 21 compared to other area colleges. Many of our athletes that we were recruiting had made the decision by May 21 or June 21 to attend other colleges prior to our return in July 21. Good news is on the next slide. Spring numbers are back up. If you look at the bottom right, we have a net gain in participation with our spring sports. And so that's excellent news. And we have good reason to believe that fall and winter next year will be back up to normal as well. Next slide. We have had our challenges, most of which have been postponements. It's been the norm throughout this year due to mostly to team quarantines, not only ours, but our opponents. The image on the top right, postponed, was probably the most used image on our social media accounts this year, and it required a lot of work for our staff to reschedule games, and yet we've continued to move on and do that. Testing scheduling has also been burdensome for athletic training staff, and one thing we did to help there was we moved our part-time athletic trainer to full-time hours to assist with our other 2 full-time athletic trainers who are not only testing our athletes, but doing their other functions of their normal job. And finally, we have some missed practices due to scheduling and quarantines. Okay, the next 3 slides, just wanted to highlight some successes in spite of our challenges. It's always good news in athletics. So women's golf took 5th place in state, their image on the bottom with the trophy. And our #1 golfer, Lahapi Tungahihifo, won the Southern California Individual Championship. She's pictured in the top right. Our men's soccer team won their third consecutive conference championship after a year pause. Next slide. Women's soccer finished with the second best record in school history, 14 wins, 6 losses, and 1 tie. And that's quite a comeback after going a year without playing. And we have some early scholarship signings from football and soccer. Next slide. And our other sports did well too. Women's volleyball finishing second place in conference. Men's basketball taking second place at the Santa Barbara tournament. And our top men's cross country runner competed in the state championship. And finally, we'll wrap up. Next slide. So conclusions from kinesiology. Kinesiology faculty must continue to adapt and explore alternative modalities and scheduling options for the benefit of our kinesiology students. And from athletics, we know and have learned that athletics can function safely in the era of COVID. Student athlete participation has rebounded to normal this spring. And student athletes and coaches were ready not only to participate, but to succeed after sitting out the entire 2021 season. And finally, just a few looking aheads from kinesiology. We are offering sunrise yoga on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. in front of the Fountain of Knowledge, free for students, faculty, and staff to come participate, and that is being taught by the students in our yoga teacher training program. Softball, this is a big one. Softball is scheduled a game with an Italian national team who is in town for the Mary Nutter Classic the last weekend of February. They were short a game and we were, and so we will be playing a week from Saturday here at 6 p.m. the Italian national team on our softball field. And finally, I wanted to remind everybody that our men's tennis team won the 2019 state championship and was ranked #1 in the state in 2020 before the shutdown. And we are currently undefeated, and we look to regain that title again this year and invite all of you to come out. And next slide. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, for that great presentation. Is there any questions from the board? Trustee Stefan?
Yeah, first off, congratulations to all of our athletes, and I want to thank everybody in the phys ed kinesiology department. As you know, right now I'm currently teaching PE for my school, which is really a challenge, so I know what you're going through, believe me.
Yes.
I was wondering if, and I don't know if we can get this from research maybe, but a diversity breakdown of our student athletes prior to COVID and currently,
Okay.
and also a breakdown of what areas of the valley the majority of our COD students that are local come from. You know, if there's a breakdown of that, maybe research can help us out with that to see what we're doing with that. Some of the, I know that we probably have to get our enrollment up to be able to offer some of these other activity classes that are not being offered currently, but hopefully that will happen in the near future. And then I have another question, and it's more personal because I'd like to know what you guys are doing. When you have outside classes, are masks required? And then also are inside activities? How are you addressing the mask issue?
So masks are required while indoors and yet optional while outdoors, and that's why we have chosen, one of the two reasons we've chosen to move many activities outdoors. One, for better, obviously, safety of ventilation and better spacing, and then to offer the option for students to a mask. But while we're indoors, masks are required.
Thank you, and thank you again for this report, and also for all that your department's doing to try to keep our students active, because I know a lot of them got out of shape when COVID was on and they were sitting at home.
Absolutely, and I will put in a research request and provide that information that you've requested to the President's office. Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the board?
No, I just wanted to say thank you as well. As you know, I work with K-12 students. So I love sports, and we do a lot with sports, and I just see those pictures, and it just makes me really happy. And I appreciate all the work that that you're doing with the students, and I'm sure those numbers will pick up because it sounds like you're running a pretty fantastic program there.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to future agenda items. We'll start off with Student Trustee Olson. Is there anything that you'd like to see on the agenda in the future?
None at this time.
Thank you. Trustee Wilson?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to see a study session on our hospitality program. Do a presentation on our past program, present program, and what we see for the future. Maybe we can schedule it for next month or as soon as possible. I think there's just no community college in this country that has anything like what we looked at last month's board meeting, when each trustee went on public record stating that we'd never seen the diagrams and sketches of what we saw last month. So I think we need to do a deep dive, look at our past programs, what we see the future of hospitality programs, look at the student numbers, et cetera. And I think when you look at hospitality capitals in this country, Florida, New York, Nevada, they work with hotel partners for on-site and intern trainings. They don't use the people's bond money to build a hotel, bungalows, and a convention center. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Trustee Gonzalez?
I had a request along the same lines, but I know that we have received a lot of information, but I think it would be beneficial, especially in the projects that seem to have a lot of questions from the community. So I support the ask that Trustee Wilson has, and I think we should look at it in general, because at the last meeting when, there was that discussion about the first property and why it was sold, and it was like, no, that wasn't the reason. I would love to see us go back like to the initial purchase of whatever property was purchased first, and, just a deep dive, and I'm sure it's going to be a really long session. So Armando, make sure we have a lot of water that day. But I think it would be beneficial to the community to really take a dive in just on that one, because I think, when we do so many of them, and I think it kind of gets lost a little bit. And I know this can't all be like for next month, but I think also Cathedral City, needs to also have the same amount of attention, right? I've seen a lot of numbers thrown out there. I've had people call me and say, you guys spend $30 million, why don't you finish building? Where, unless the information we're receiving is incorrect, according to the financials that I saw, it's only like, not only because it's a lot of money, but it's under $4 million. So again, there's so much misinformation going out there about these two projects that I really do feel that it would be beneficial for all of the community to be able to understand the history, where we were, where we are. I as well would love to know which one of those renderings is accurate. I think that would help with Palm Springs. And I think with Cathedral City, we need to let the public see, the information that was received and the issues that we have with the current property, and why it would be, a bad idea to invest taxpayer money into a property that has all of the issues that it does. And, maybe like Trustee Wilson was saying, maybe we look at partnerships for now, because, our enrollment is climbing up. It's not where we want it to be. There's also, the conversation of the high flex, which would mean really less students on campus. So there's just so much. And, again, I'm not saying let's not build anything, but I really want to be well-informed. So when those decisions, come before me, then I want to make sure that I make the best decision possible, which is, what I was elected to do. And I have to just make a comment real quick. one of the public comments that came in said that there was Cathedral City had a large population of Hispanic students that would benefit from the Roadrunner motors, and I'm a little offended by that, because I mean, why does that population have to be the mechanics? Like, why can't we own the car dealerships? Like, can't we own businesses, our own shops? So, I'm gonna stop at that one, but I really do feel that those two projects would warrant a study session on their own, and I think it's gonna be probably a good 4-hour session, but I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez. Trustee Yant.
No comment.
Okay. Trustee Stefan?
Yeah, I've got several things. Well, first off, as I've mentioned several times now, Community College Month is coming up in April, so I hope we could have a discussion as a board next month about things that we can do here that are low cost, but could get the message out. Then, as I mentioned, I'm part of the USC Equity Institute, so I'm hoping that we can have an update on our diversity, equity, and inclusion practices here and procedures, and that maybe we can look at faculty, staff, leadership training as one of the elements of that, and ethnic studies for students, because I know those are things that we need to have to make sure that we get as much diversity, equity, and inclusion as possible on our campus. I was heartened to hear Professor Dozer's report on the wellness of our students. We need to consider that. And I'm hoping, I don't know if I've mentioned it in the past, but looking into housing, looking into all the services that we're offering our students, making sure that it's equitable and across all of our campuses, so that it isn't just that, well, we offer a few here and we offer a few there. Some areas we need to offer more of those. I think we understand why. And also the wellness of our students. What are we doing to ensure the mental and emotional safety and security of our students? And she had some excellent ideas in her presentation today that maybe we could be considered or incorporated into that. That's all.
Thank you, Trustee Stefan. I'll echo the comments of my colleagues. There was a lot already on the table. So we'll go ahead and just leave it at that. At this point, before we recess to close session, unfortunately, we do have some sad news. Recently, we lost a COD student to COVID-19. Ched Abraham was a straight A student, a mother to a beautiful 5-year-old, a sister, a wife, and a daughter. The Abraham family have always been dedicated supporters of the College of the Desert, and our thoughts and prayers go out to her family. Also, in honor of our recently lost faculty members and students, we would like to close with a moment of silence to remember the lives of Ched Abraham, Marisa Banuelos, and Robin Ritchie. Thank you. The board will now recess to close session. The live portion of this meeting will conclude. Should there be any reportable action, I will report it to the board secretary, which will be incorporated into the meeting minutes and posted before the end of the business day today. Board members and President Garcia, I ask that you please join closed session at 11:55 a.m.
Recording stopped.